Following the 1917 Bolshevik Revolution, the printing press became as essential as the rifle. Governments began mass-producing millions of pamphlets, turning state ideology into a high-speed weapon of global influence. But these early campaigns had a clear limit. Posters and radio broadcasts are overt. They are easy to identify and easier to ignore. Simply shouting an ideology at an enemy rarely forced a surrender. Felix Dzerzhinsky, the founder of the Soviet secret police, shifted toward a more covert strategy. He began engineering elaborate internal fictions designed to dictate an adversary's perception of the world from within. This philosophy was formalized in January 1923, when Soviet intelligence established an office dedicated entirely to the coordinated use of false information. They called it disinformation. The early architects of this office found that persuasion is unnecessary if you can provide a lie that mirrors a target's existing worldview. When a fabrication confirms a person's deepest fears or desires, they often become its most loyal defenders. The first major test of this strategy addressed a massive geopolitical threat. Over 1 million white Russian exiles were scattered across Europe, armed and actively plotting to overthrow the new Soviet government. To neutralize them, the secret police created the Trust, a fake anti-Bolshevik resistance group. On paper, it was a powerful insurgent network. In reality, every single leader and member was a state-controlled actor. A Soviet agent named Alexander Yakushev met with exiled generals and told them exactly what they wanted to hear, that an internal revolution was imminent. He convinced them that the best strategy was to wait, conserve their strength, and delay any attack while the insurgency grew. The exiles were lulled into years of complacency. At the same time, foreign spies were lured into the USSR to meet with the fake resistance, where they were promptly arrested and executed. Operation Trust succeeded because it weaponized the exiles' own desperate hope. By feeding them a lie that justified their inaction, the Soviets effectively dismantled the counter-revolution without firing a single shot. In the 1930s, global focus shifted to Asia with the emergence of the Tanaka Memorial. It was presented as a secret blueprint from the Japanese Prime Minister, detailing a roadmap for the conquest of China and the United States. The document was a complete forgery, riddled with obvious errors. It described meetings that never happened and misstated basic facts about Japanese investments. Any objective analysis could have exposed it as a fraud, yet the forgery became a global sensation. Because Japan actually began invading Manchuria at the same time, the fake plan felt prophetic. The real-world aggression made the errors in the document seem irrelevant. Recognizing its psychological power, the Soviet Comintern began a global campaign to push the forgery. In December 1931, they published the Tanaka Memorial in 5 languages, ensuring the lie reached every major capital. A forgery becomes nearly indestructible when it is wrapped in the armor of actual geopolitics. The physical flaws of a document vanish when the target is already reacting to real-world terror. This vulnerability exists in any system driven by paranoia. In 1930, New York City Police Commissioner Grover Whalen faced a public relations crisis after his officers used brutal force to suppress mass labor demonstrations. To justify the violence, Whalen presented a series of Soviet documents to the press. He claimed they were absolute proof that Moscow was directly funding the riots to spark a revolution in New York. The evidence fell apart almost immediately. The letters, published on the front page of local newspapers, contained glaring mistakes, including misspelled names and the names of institutions that didn't exist. Investigators traced the letterheads back to a local print shop in the East Village. The printer even testified before Congress, identifying specific smeared ink and broken typeface that proved the documents were produced in Manhattan, not Moscow. Despite the proof of fraud, the American establishment maintained the fiction. The forgery was too useful to abandon, providing the exact justification needed to crack down on political dissidents. By the start of the Second World War, the logic of the disinformation campaign was fully developed. Intelligence agencies understood that a fake didn't need to be flawless, it only needed to be perfectly targeted. But building an empire of illusions comes with a severe side effect. The Soviet intelligence apparatus constructed a machine of deception so vast and layered that, eventually, they lost track of their own lies. Generations of Soviet and Russian intelligence integrated these fictions into their archives. Documents like the Tanaka Memorial were cited as absolute fact. Even cautious analysts were swallowed by their own mirrored halls, unable to distinguish operational lies from actual history. The legacy of these early disinformation wars is a grim warning. When a state engineers a machine to destroy the truth, it permanently loses the ability to recognize the truth itself.